Whether you're in North or South Carolina or anywhere else in the world, enter the Cat Cave, a part of the Keep Pounding Podcast Network, powered by the Fans First Sports Only Network, where you can find shows such as Winning the Division, Inside the Vault, and Believe in Panthers. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, welcome, welcome. You are inside the Cat Cave. We're going to be talking about OTAs. We're going to be talking about the draft that the Panthers have. We're getting you ready for Panthers football coming at you this fall. We are excited. I know you are excited. This is going to be a great season. Let's hope for the best for our Carolina Panthers. Before we start the show, though, we got to do a little bit of housekeeping here because we got a new face. Now, if you followed the show, you will know that Ryan Frick has been the longtime host, been co-hosting with my man Michael Davis, who has his own endeavor right now with Boom Broadcasting. And Ryan, he's decided to chase a dream of his that he's been wanting to do for a long time, which is stand-up comedy. And I talked, we had a discussion. He decided to step away from the show. But with that being said, when one door closes, another one opens. So we have a new face here for the Cat Cave. It'll be all season with me. So everybody, we're going to go ahead and have a nice warm welcome to the new co-host of the Cat Cave. I'm going to let him talk a little bit. I ain't going to talk your head off. I'm going to let him talk next. So everyone, welcome D. White to the show right here. D, how you doing, my man?
Doing pretty good, man. I appreciate that intro. It's gonna be tough to beat that.
Don't worry about it, my man. This is your show just as much as it is mine. Go ahead and give everybody a rundown of yourself so we can get acquainted with you.
All right, man. I'm D. I'm born and raised in North Carolina. Been here pretty much all my life. Northeast North Carolina. I'm by the coast right now. Love it. Been a Panther fan for as long as I can remember. Man, Cam Newton. I'll even say Kelvin Benjamin his first year. Obviously, you can't forget Jay Stu, Chris Gamble, Josh Norman. I've been a fan for a long time, through the good and the bad. So, with that said, I'm here. I got Shannon to help me out. We're going to do this thing. We're going to do it right.
All right, man. I love it. This is going to be a good season. I can feel it. And now we're going to segue into this season here because we've had some chatter about this draft, these mini camps, these OTAs. And now one of the things that has been on the minds of Panther fans also in the football world is year 3 of Bryce Young. Now, Bryce has had high hopes, expectations about him being the first pick a couple years back. And his first year was not a very memorable year for us Carolina Panther fans. But the fact that he stayed in it, there were some bright spots in his rookie year. And then the second year came, and then it looked like the wagon was falling off. He was benched. And what Rich Eisen likes to say, a sabbatical for Bryce Young. Later on, Bryce Young comes back in, and you start seeing shades of that Alabama quarterback that we've seen when he was in college. And now it's year 3. And there's been some chatter, not from fans, but from Bryce Young. The humble, quiet confidence that we've been hearing and seeing for a while is met with some chatter. He's been talking a little bit, a little trash talking. Him and J.C. Horn got into it a little bit and practiced a little scuffle coming from Mr. Humble himself, our quarterback, Bryce Young. So, D, I got to ask you for it. I'm going to bring you in here right now with the hot stove. What are you thinking about this? What is your thoughts with Bryce Young kind of coming out of his shell?
About time. We've seen more lows with Bryce than highs, unfortunately. Coming into year 3, I mean, he ended off his last 10 games looking solid. I mean, he's coming from his first game of the last season throwing an interception right off the bat. That was tough. It's hard to say it any other way. It's tough. Bryce coming in this year, second year with Dave Canales, second year, knowing what to do, being strong, getting stronger, looking stronger, feeling more confident. We're seeing a little bit more of that Alabama Bryce, like you said. It's about time. He needs to let everybody know why he was the right choice over CJ Stroud.
Absolutely, because you hear about that because one of the things that we as fans do, and we've all done this. I've done it. I'm pretty sure you've done it. But we look at drafts when it comes down to players that were picked first and second. When most of the time it's quarterbacks. You know how this thing goes. These quarterbacks are usually taken first pick, second pick in the top 5, top 10, and all you hear is, well, what if they would have picked this guy, or what if they would have picked this guy? Was this guy the right pick? Was he supposed to be where he was? If you put him here, would he have the same numbers? And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, you put C.J. Stroud, you put Bryce Young, Prime Tom Brady, Johnny Unitas, any of those guys in that Panthers offense that first year, and they'd have the same results.
Yes.
There's
Yes.
no way to say that this was all Bryce's fault. But then we go into year 2, and then we start seeing what's going on, and then Bryce is starting to take a little bit of heat from others. Is he the right guy? Was he supposed to be the one? Is that happening? I've been tough on him. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've been tough on him in that second year because playing the quarterback position, playing in the NFL is tough. We all know that. I know that. You know that.
Hmm.
The quarterback position is insanely tough. And there's talk about, do colleges get quarterbacks ready for the NFL? You see someone like Jaden Daniels who takes to it in his rookie year and gets far in the playoffs and wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. You hear about that, you see that, and then, teams that could have picked him salivating over it like, wow, must be nice.
Hmm.
But you have generational players that can do that. But the fact that Bryce is showing his personality, the fact that you're starting to see a little bit of personality, a little bit of fire in him, this is a good sign, don't you think?
Oh yeah, for sure. Because do you remember the top three quarterbacks that came out the same year as Bryce?
Okay, Bryce, you got CJ. The third one I don't know off the top of my head.
Anthony Richardson.
Oh, yes, yes, for the Colts, Anthony Richardson, and Lord have mercy.
Right. Anthony Richardson. They told him he was big, he was strong, he had an arm, he could run. He was basically the next Cam Newton.
Oh, yep, yep,
We're in year 3 of him, in a worse position than Bryce, dealing with injuries. C.J. Stroud dealing with injuries. They
yep.
took his number one weapon and sent him off. Bryce has never had a number one.
Ooh,
You want to count DJ Chark?
no,
Bryce
no.
has never had a number one unless you count Thielen.
Considering that CJ has Nico Collins, who just came out of nowhere, then he
Right.
had a Stephon Diggs that got hurt, and then Anthony Richardson has Pittman Jr. I would
Hmm.
say kind of like that, but the Colts they're in disarray as well too. That AFC South is there's a lot of questions coming out of that AFC South, but we ain't talking about the AFC South. But very valid points though. But you were absolutely correct. Very valid points because those are 3 quarterbacks taken off the board. And if you look at it now, I don't think a lot of people would have looked and thought that Bryce would have the most promise out of these 3 guys looking at the way the years came.
Right.
So I get it. And that's very valid points. But, now that we've had our talk about our quarterback, there has been talk after talk about this offseason with the Carolina Panthers. The
Okay.
draft that the Panthers had. The
Amazing draft.
you know what? Cool. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I know this is kind of off book. We didn't really discuss this, but who's your guy? Who is the one that you're looking at from this draft? Who are you looking at right now?
I think the number one answer for most people would either be Nick Scorton or Tetra McMillan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm liking Lathan Ransom.
Ooh.
I'm loving Lathan
Okay.
Ransom for the simple fact that he has Trevon Merrick in front of him. He
Okay.
has a player that he won the award for best safety in college. He has somebody in Damani Richardson who was thrust into the limelight his rookie year, who you can kind of say he exceeded expectations. He gets to learn from those two guys. Now, I'm not gonna say Damani Richardson is like all pro, all caliber type stuff, but he learned how to conquer the things that were put in front of him. Trevon Merrick has been a player that I loved him since college TCU. He went to the Raiders and just you had to look out for him on the field. He's gonna hit you. He's gonna hit you fast. He's gonna go through whatever hole he needs to get to the ball. Now he might not be the best free safety, but he wasn't asked to do that. But Latham is the Trevon Merrick light. You put him, you put Merrick at strong safety. You put Lathan Ransom as nickel or however. I think you go see results. Now, you know, he's a rookie. He's gonna take some time, but he's gonna do some things.
I like it. And one thing that's being brought up that I like that you brought up about it is, that secondary has been something that has been talked about with the Panthers. J.C. Horn, Mike Jackson, those guys were playmakers. J.C. Horn looks like he might be trying to do something if he cannot be injured.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like he could be somebody because that defensive backfield has been somewhat of an Achilles heel for the Carolina Panthers. But of course, one of the things that I thought about as well doing this is that, when the draft came in, everyone was thinking that, Carolina, their first pick is going to be a defensive player,
Mm-hmm.
defense, defense, defense. And, considering the fact that Carolina's had a pedigree of a very good defense, easy to see. And plus, with the way that the draft was, it was edge rushers all over the place. There were edge rushers from everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And there were so many. I'm like, man, this draft was edge rushers, receivers, line, and everything else. Like that was it. That was mostly the draft. And I was like, man, so it's easy to see why you would think that Carolina would go for a defense. But when they drafted Ted and the way that they explained everything with the trade that could have came in with the Rams, and Dan Morgan was pretty much sold on Ted already. And let's just be honest, Ted's a big guy, 6'5",
Mm-hmm.
big target, knows how to separate, big and strong individual. That's big. But that's going to segue into what we're talking about with receivers because this receiver room, Carolina's receiver room has grown. You've got some old faces and you've got some new faces in this receiver room. Adam Thielen being the elder statesman in
Mm-hmm.
there. Then new guys like Ted coming in, Jimmy Brown Jr. coming in. Now, who's going to be the odd man out? Somebody's got to go. With all this, with these new guys and these older guys in, somebody's got to go. Who is it?
Yes,
Who is it?
it's tough to say. I think it's got to be David Moore. You've heard something about McMillan, Liggett, Coker looks better in minicamp. Uh, Jimmy Horn, who they were high on in the draft. You're not getting rid of Hunter Renfro. David Moore, he's been a good vet. He was an emergency vet that we signed.
Yep.
Who unfortunately, he got thrust in and he made some good plays. Doesn't mean he's going to beat out half of this roster.
True. True.
So, my bet, my guess, David Moore's probably not going to be here too much longer.
Definitely understand that. I think you're right on that one. I mean, with the promise that we've had, and Dave, of course, he was a emergency vet, which you're absolutely right. And there were some times where he did produce
Mm-hmm.
for a Panthers squad that had to get the vertical pass right, had to get that forward pass going. The vertical game was something that needed to be done, considering the fact that we had an every down back in Chuba Hubbard, but then later on in the season he had to be shut down because he took so much load and he got hit a lot. That running back position, that's something that we got to look at. Is just the running back position, what Chuba has had, the impact that he's had on the offense. But what's going to benefit your running game? A steady passing game.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that the Panthers had sometimes and didn't have, but it started to get better towards the tail end of the year when Bryce had confidence. They talked about this line. They talked about the offensive line. Oh, the offensive line, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? The offensive line was very stable this year. Bryce had time to throw the ball. Bryce had time to run, which we all can have the debate whether it's here or there, good for your quarterback to have feet, have not, or to not have feet. But considering the fact that Bryce can improvise and he can make the play action work, he needs to because of his height, the rollout. He can get it done with his feet.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were times where Bryce was getting it done with his feet. And
Oh, yeah.
so the line benefited from that. And of course, Chuba took the bumps that he did. The passing game has got to be what's doing it. Because let's be honest, the NFL is a passing league.
Yeah.
Although the running back position has had a lot to say, looking at you, Saquon Barkley, and you still need to have a running game in order to win games. And Carolina has a running game, but it's just you got to have the passing to go with it. And I think that's going to be something that Carolina may have this year. I think they're going to open eyes with the passing game because looking at who we have, Tampa Bay, steady passing game.
Mm-hmm.
And David Moore can play tight end. Hey, Donnie, you're absolutely correct. He can play tight end. And once again, the tight end position might be something in question as well for the Carolina Panthers as well, too. We had tight ends in the draft as well, too. There were tight ends that looked very, very well in the draft. Carolina wanted that vertical passing game.
Mm-hmm.
But the safety valve tight end is always something that's needed as well, too. So
Might have
definitely.
found him.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Might have found him.
Absolutely. Oh, man. Go ahead. Talk on that.
So you're absolutely right. We needed a passing game because last year, if you could shut down Thielen, we couldn't do anything. You already knew if you could shut down Thielen, then most of the time it was going to Chuba.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't count on Liggett in his hands, unfortunately, but he's a rookie.
Yes.
Coker came on strong, but again, he's a rookie. He still needs to learn.
Yes.
Now you throw Renfro, you throw a second year Jatavion Sanders.
Ooh.
Hopefully, when he's healthy, uh, goodness gracious, can't even think of his name right now.
Jonathan Brooks.
He's out for the year.
Yeah, he's out.
The tight
That's right.
end, tight end.
Oh, wait. Hold. Got
I freaking love him too, and I can't think of his name. But
we'll get
Tommy
back.
Tremble.
Oh,
Tommy
there
Tremble.
you go, Tommy.
There
Tremble.
we go.
There you go.
Tommy Tremble was getting pretty good. Then you add Mitchell Evans after that. Now you say you can possibly throw David Moore as a tight end, possibly, but he's fairly small. He's quick. He can get into the open areas. But again, last year our passing game was just trash, utter trash. Like it was so bad. Now you got Lee Gett, who can possibly be your 2, your 3. You got Nalo. I'll call him Nalo.
Nalo.
We got Nalo as your 1 whenever he's ready, whenever he's comfortable. You got Granddaddy Thielen back.
Hey.
You got Uncle Renfro back.
Yep.
You got Jalen Coker, who's looking slimmer and faster. You got Jimmy Horn as your speed option. Now, I want to say this. David Moore has the fastest 40 time out of that whole bunch. Now you can kind of put that on a slant because Jimmy Horn, he plays fast.
Yes.
You give them a confident wide receiver group. Not only is Bryce gonna thrive, Chuba's gonna thrive, Rico Dowdle's gonna thrive,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
ETN's gonna thrive,
Oh yeah.
and I'm gonna throw this tad bit. Report reportedly, Bryce Young ran a faster 40 than Cam Newton.
Ooh. Okay now. Okay, because Cam had that extra weight. Cam was big. Cam
Cam
was
was
big and
big.
strong. Yeah, he was big.
Cam had wheels.
Yes. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Bryce Young got wheels.
Absolutely.
Bryce
Yeah.
Young had no weapons.
Right.
You give
Right.
Bryce Young wheels and weapons, let's see what he can do.
Oh, absolutely. I'm liking the way that sounds. And then you brought up Rico Dowdle as well too. You bought him over. Me. One thing you gotta know about me, I absolutely despise the Cowboys, but I'm very thankful for Rico Dowdle because it's going to take the pressure off of Chuba Hubbard. He doesn't have to run every down. He's not going to have to be beaten down so much. When Rico Dowdle had some numbers in Dallas.
Yep,
So
1,000-yard runner.
yeah, he's no slouch. So that's great that we got him for what we got. So that's saying that this offense is being invested in. The offensive line doing very very well as well too. I think that's what we've got to have in order for this. Because main thing is the confidence of Bryce Young is what's going to bring us in to this right here is his confidence, getting him standing upright in a pocket and letting him pass with confidence because he's shown he can make plays. He's
Yep,
shown that he
definitely.
can go down the field. He just needs the people to go down the field. He needs the receivers to go down the field. He needs that time to throw the ball. So,
Hmm.
and he's got time now. So this is where now we got to get weapons for him. And I think that was a great thing there right here. Willie Smith, Jimmy Jets Horn is going to surprise some people. I
Yes,
like it. I
yes.
like it. Yes, I mean for real. Willie, that's my cousin right there. Last name Smith. I claim every Smith right there. You my cousin, Will. For real, Willie. Appreciate you for the comment there, sir. Thank you for your time. Thank you for tuning in. But now we're gonna go ahead and get into these OTAs. Get into these talks right here. So D, I know you've been looking at a lot of minicamp. I know you've been seeing a lot of draft. You've been seeing all of that minicamp wise. I know you want to elaborate on that, so go ahead, my man. The floor is yours.
I mean, minicamp's been good. Renfro showing that he can still do it. You got Nalo. He's showing he's big. He's faster than everybody thought. His route run is pretty good. You got Thielen doing what Thielen does. That's not going to change until he retires. You got you got Coker. Like I said, he looks slimmer. He looks faster. You got Rico. You got Chuba. You got Bryce. You got everybody on offense. It really looks like there might not be as many holes on offense as people thought. I mean, the only one you could possibly say was maybe the center, but we got two players that play pretty solid as a center. So, maybe that'd be good. Defensively, Trevon Merrick's been killing it in OTAs. He's been talked about several times. Of course, you got J.C. Horn, you got Mike Jackson, you got Charles Smith Wade. Apparently, he's doing pretty good there too.
Mm-hmm.
Might be one of the best players coming in on defense in OTA so far, at least coming from J.C. Horn. You got Bobby Brown. Apparently, he's gained about 7, 8 pounds of muscle, looking big, looking strong. You got Derek Brown coming beside him. I mean, bro, this is. I don't want to put too much on it because every year we put too much on it.
Yeah.
In the last few years, we done got
Yes.
disappointed, but at least we look confident.
The main thing right here, D, and you're absolutely right. Me and Des, we were talking about that a little bit ago before we got on the air. Is that we were invested in this 2 years ago? We were saying the
Hmm.
same thing. Last year, we were saying the same thing. It fell on his face. But as a fan, you want to see good football. There's going to be times where you're going to have injuries. You're going to lose games. you're going to have some trouble. You're going to have some adversity during the season. It's going to happen. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter who you cheer for. It doesn't matter. You're going to have some type of stumbling block every year, whether you're 0-15, whether you're 0-16, whether you're 16-0, whether you're 14-2, no matter what, you're going to have some type of stumbling block. If it hasn't happened beforehand, it will happen later. So seeing a confident football team, a watchable football team, is going to be a step in the right direction for the Carolina Panthers. I believe that, Dan Morgan has gotten a lot of press time, gotten a lot of face time with the media, talking about this draft, talking about free agency, talking about what's been going on with the Panthers. The Panthers are being talked about, whether it's, Rich Eisen, whether it's Pat McAfee. They've been talking to Dan Morgan a lot, getting into his psyche, first-year GM, the fact that he is making these moves. What I'm liking a lot about what we've been seeing on these videos is that the front office, the coaching staff, look like they're working together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that we have not seen in about 3 to 5 years. We have not seen that. It's either the owner is making a move and everyone in the front office is like, wait a minute, we don't know this. What I noticed the most in the Blueprint video on the YouTube channel for the Panthers is that Dan Morgan, everyone is talking. Dave Tepper is playing in the background. He's sitting back there. He's letting Dan Morgan, he's letting everyone do their thing in the war room for the draft. We hear this stuff about, Dave Tepper is meddling. He's meddling. And I get it. I understand it. There were some times where he put his hands in there and you're like, why? As fans, why? The drink incident, we're like, why? Why are you acting this way? You're supposed to be a general manager. You're supposed to be the figurehead of this organization, and you do this. But now Dave Tepper is letting Dan Morgan and Associates, it sounds like a law firm, don't you? Dan Morgan and Associates. It sounds like that, though, for real. I'm calling him Dan Morgan and Associates. That's what I'm calling him. Dan Morgan and Associates. He's letting them do their thing. He's letting them cook. And Dan Morgan, he cooked in this draft.
Yeah,
he did. He cooked in this draft. He did a wonderful job. And now that we have players on paper, now that we've got mini camps going on, it's sunny outside, it's summertime, no pads going on right now, light practices, and we're seeing this progress, which what you spoke on. We're wanting to see dividends in the fall. We're wanting to see everything in the fall. But ladies and gentlemen, that is our show. This is our first live for the Cat Cave this season with a new co-host, D. White. Ladies and gentlemen, he did a great job. Me at hosting duties. This is going to be what you're going to see this year. We're looking for more content with the Cat Cave. Check us on the socials with Facebook. Type in the Cat Cave. Find us on X. Find us on Instagram. We will be more active in the socials. There will be some shorts coming in. I've been doing a little bit of work in the podcast world, doing a little bit of work. I'm going to hone some skills with some shorts, talking about the Panthers, getting more content in. You're going to see more of my man D. White right here. You're going to see more of him on this show. There may be some times where he might hold it down in my absence. Same here. We're going to work as a team. We're going to be a good team. With that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning into the first live of the Cat Cave this season. We're going to be coming at you until the season begins. And when the season begins, it's going to be heavy. So keep it locked here on the Keep Pounding Podcast Network, powered by the Fans First Sports Only Network. You can now exit the Cat Cave. See more of us on the Tobacco Road Sports Radio YouTube channel, along with the Keep Pounding Podcast Network, powered by the Fans First Sports Only Network. Have a good rest of your night. Go Panthers.